有的人问我，你为什么不拍中国的黑的一面，中国的不好的一面？你为什么不拍？
I read the New York Times. I've noticed that the coverage on China has become more and more negative.
Most people in the Western world have a lot of misunderstandings about China.
We wanted the international audiences to experience China authentically.
I was talking about people living in the nature and without a special period.
When I was researching the history of jazz in Shanghai in the 1930s, it was very hard to find actual film footage or audio or even photographs of the actual clubs, the scenes, the people, the places. And I thought to myself, well, I would like to give a gift to future historians. I want to make a film so that future historians can look back and say, oh, we have an archive of all of this stuff. I guess now is time for any kind of questions, comments. Of course, Lin Dongfu, the brave pioneer who first brought jazz back to this city.
费教授出现在我面前的时候，就是一个很中肯的、很低调的，我还应该说他是很儒雅的一个男人。当然，他是个美国人。有的时候你就觉得人跟人碰在一起，这个状态对了，眼睛对视，就你已经忘了他是个外国人，你不会去想这些，就是一个可以交谈的男人，他会倾听，然后他问你所有的问题，关于音乐，关于爵士，关于这个城市。
好。
Shanghai is a very rich and fascinating culture. It's not as ancient as Xi'an, it's not as illustrious as Beijing, or even Suzhou or Hangzhou, which were all ancient capitals. But Shanghai was a very lively trading port. So I think when you become interested in how cultures connect and how cultures come together, you look at the port cities. Actually, the China that I experienced in the 1980s was modernizing and growing and developing and absorbing a lot of Western culture. So I became interested in that, in what happens when China meets the West, what happens to Chinese culture, and then how do Chinese people take in the cultures of the West. So music was a good example, because music is universal and everybody loves music. And so I became interested in the scenes. So it's again related to my work looking at the interface between China and the outside world, that these music scenes are a way for China to engage with the outside world. Most people in the Western world have a lot of misunderstandings about China. And I really do think that you have to spend a lot of time here to get to know the country. You can't just watch a film or read the newspapers. You really have to be here. You have to be in the xianchang. I really believe about xianchang is so important. Unless you experience life here, it's impossible to understand what life is like in this country.
我觉得需要一点像费教授这样的一个外国人，他深深地了解中国，我应该说他喜欢中国，他在这里有那么多的朋友，然后他要表达我所喜欢的一个地方和我所喜欢的人。
This is my home studio. It's a multi-purpose studio, and I use it to edit my documentary films. So I've been working here in this studio with this computer, editing my film on jazz in Shanghai. This is a microphone, as you see, so I can record my narration. But I'm also using this room as a music studio. So I have my musical instruments, and sometimes when I get tired of doing my work, I will take a break and play some music. I've been living here for maybe 20 years. A good chunk of my life I've spent living in China. And even then, I still feel like there's so much that I don't know about this country. I think everybody who's really serious about China comes here at least now and then to spend some time here in China. I don't think you can understand China without being here. Family is so important in Chinese culture. It's the most important thing. Family first. So I think everything about Chinese culture kind of starts with the family. So the jia, nothing more important in Chinese culture than the jia. It's the number one unit. That's why the nation is called a guojia. So I think it's going to be a while before China can really absorb foreigners and make them a part of this society. It's going to take some time.
This documentary will take you back into the darkest chapter of Shanghai's history.
During this 3-day period, just what happened in the city of Nanjing? I've had the honor of participating in some documentary film series here in China. China wants to get its stories out into the world, and these are stories that are worth telling. My first experience with making a documentary film in China with a professional Chinese TV crew was in Shanghai in 2015. I was invited to host a documentary about the wartime period when Shanghai was occupied by the Japanese. The story involved a few foreigners who were living in Shanghai at the time and the struggles that they went through during this period of war.
Over this river,
we went all over Shanghai and we filmed in different locations that were relevant to the story. And it was a great experience. And I think we produced a really wonderful film as a result. Then in 2018, I was invited by Jiangsu TV to host a documentary series, a story about the Nanjing massacre and about several foreigners who had stayed in Nanjing end of 1937 in order to help the Chinese people during the height of the Nanjing massacre in December 1937. These people included doctors, there were businessmen, there were missionaries, there were educators. We told 6 stories of 6 different foreigners who had come to the aid of the Chinese people during this time of crisis. So even though it's a very terrible, tragic story, it was also uplifting in its way because it showed how people can help each other even in the worst of times, and how even the worst of times can bring out the best in us. My most recent experience was, again, with the Shanghai TV crew, documentaries about stories about 1949 and what happened when the People's Liberation Army marched into Shanghai and liberated the city. So again, this is a wartime story, but it was also a story about foreigners who were living in Shanghai at the time and what they witnessed, and what they later reported on about the liberation period and when the PLA took power over the city. While working on these documentary productions here in China, I've learned a great deal about the art and the science of producing documentary films. It's been a great learning experience. China wants to get its stories out into the world, and these are stories that are worth telling. And I've had a great experience working with TV production companies and crews here in China to produce these stories. I'm working at this university, Duke in Kunshan. We're all committed to living here and every day working with Chinese people, teaching Chinese students, and learning from China.
Do you know the 4 famous department stores in Shanghai?
Like the
The 4 famous 百货公司.
Xin Shijie, the New World.
Xin Shijie was different. That was like an amusement center. Di 百货, that was called Da Xin Gongsi. And then down here you had Xin and Yong'an, and then Xianshi, Sinceres. Those were the 4 department stores. Do you know who, the people who founded those department stores, where did they come from?
China.
Where in China?
Maybe Guangdong, I guess.
Yes. They went to Sydney, Australia, where they saw how a modern department store worked, and they brought that back to China.
Now, of course, it's a little easier now because everybody makes videos, but then how many of those videos actually get archived? So I think I'm hoping that these films will be a testimonial to these scenes that were happening when I was living in China, when everything was changing so rapidly and China and the world were interacting in such a deep and meaningful way. So I think it's like a time capsule, a gift to the future, that people might want to look at these films 100 years from now and say, oh, wow, that's what Shanghai was like back then, or that's what Beijing. So I think there's something, again, it's very powerful about the xianchang, being in a music club and being overpowered by the music and the rhythm and all the people dancing and having fun and, you know, enjoying themselves. I think engaging with China, coming here, living here, and learning the language, learning the Chinese language are all very, very important to understanding this country.
I am Olivier Grandjean. I am a great traveler. Lia, les rares.
你好，你好，你好。
Si cette émission vous a donné envie. I know real China, and that's the reason for me to love to live there. Way right night. Wow. Oh. Anira. Good. 好吃，好吃。好嘞，一个。你好。好味。Ah, ça c'est bien ça. In Switzerland and in France, in all the period between 2006 and now, people call me the Chinese guy. Hey, Chinese guy! Oh, the Chinese guy! How are you, Chinese guy?
The four inventions of China.
The four inventions of China?
Yes, in ancient times.
Easy. Writing with the l'encre, the China encre.
Yes.
The encre.
造纸术吗？
喂，呀，
They saw me talking with China with a big energy and enthusiasm. Why are you like that? You are talking about China, you are... I was sit down, I was going up and talking with my hands and with... Because this energy is in me, disponibility, energy, volunteer, positive mind, all that qualities are there and are first in me. So.
Honorable étranger, tu es mon invité en Chine. Grâce à mes amis chinois, ici partout je me sens chez moi en Chine.
Ah, ça c'est mon tracteur. Ils sont formidables, quelle ambiance. He will be a good adventurer, discoverer of this different area in China. When we were going here and here and there and there and there, the technician team with me always said, it's the first time for me to come here. Wow. They were discovering the places at the same time than me. It was a common experience, a common story. And I felt the proudness of them to discover parts of their country. It is very funny because people think all Chinese people are the same. Oh, Chinese people, they are like that. Oh, American, they are like that. Oh, French, they are like that. No, no, no. So I refuse to imagine one population in one country is like that. People of China like me, and the story of me and China was a reality.
C'est bon?
Oui.
Comment faire le canal laqué? Il est à côté.
Il venait d'arriver. Aurélien, il était là.
Oui. Mais Aurélien déjà plusieurs fois en Chine.
Bien sûr, bien sûr, bien sûr. Mais ils connaissaient déjà.
Oui.
Tu sais, mes enfants, ils ont grandi avec la Chine, sans y habiter. Mais ils ont grandi, ils venaient deux fois par an. Ils venaient ici.
Oui,
Pas une fois, 2 fois par an. In 1999, Mrs. Xin Shaoying made a big TV show in France, in Paris. It was the first China versus France in intercities. And I was the referee of this TV show because I was a professional in Switzerland of TV, and they called me to come. And 5 years after that, they called me back and they told me if I want to be the referee and host of new intercities TV shows. I say yeah, with big pleasure, and the story was starting. You protect me, all my life in China, all this fantastic chance in my life and for my family is because of you, Shaoying. It's because of you.
Merci. Merci, c'est le destin, on dit, c'est缘分.
C'est le destin, c'est le destin, tout à fait. C'est le destin.
Encore une photo.
C'était merveilleux, je me rappelle comme si c'était hier.
Oui.
Oui.
Quand c'est à Nice.
Ça, c'est à Nice, ça. Oui, oui, tout à fait.
C'est à Nice, on fait Interville, international.
C'est à Nice, on faisait à Cannes, on faisait précisément.
Oui.
Et ça, c'est à Nice, mais on filmé à Cannes.
Oui, c'est ça. Tu nageais comme venant de la mer.
Ah oui. Mais oui, j'arrivais comme si j'étais arrivé comme James Bond, qui venait de la mer, qui fait « Oh, c'est ici ». Ah oui, je me rappelle de ça.
Tu fais toujours ce genre de saut, oui.
I was also in the TV news. I was participating at different documentaries. And that's the reason, as I told you before, why people call me the Chinese guy. Xinjiang is absolutely marvelous. It is very big. It is incredible how it's big. A lot of difference of culture, of ethnies, of the desert, the mountain, the animals. Really, it's a fantastic place. If I was a journalist, because when you are a journalist, you must work for a redaction and say exactly what the redaction want. You say that's the rule. And I am not that. I am a big traveler. I am a witness. I like to explain to people what I feel. Oh. J'ai cassé le fil. Pardon. People I seen, he's happy. If you want to know, please go, look, and explain me. Hi, Taylor.
How are you?
My Taylor is rich. 10 days will be enough for you? Yeah. Because in 10 days I have a big TV show with ambassador, and I will swear at that.
So you like a slim fit or just like a...
No, well, yeah, we decide not like slowly fit, little bit, not brum, but.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Votre Excellence, cher ami. Bonjour.
I am preparing 2 or 3 special dinner with Ambassador TV show for the end of this year.
C'était très gentil dans le message.
Ah oui, ce sera beaucoup mieux. Yes. I think we will push that a little bit. I am very excited by this particular TV show with my friend, the ambassador of Portugal. He loves to live in China, like all my friends. And if people is living at the right place, I think the world will be better, with less conflicts.
Ça va?
Ouais, super journée.
Mis à l'amitié franco-chinoise. Chin, chin, chin. Tu viens dire bonjour? Faire l'apéro.
Pas très beau.
Mais en vidéo, tout passe bien.
Toi, tu aimes? You always love to be there?
Yeah.
How long time you want to stay there?
Forever.
Forever.
So cute.
China. Working in China was always a pleasure for me. When my son asked me that, I was very happy and proud, because that proves he appreciates a lot our trips in China. I cannot say I prefer that town or that place, because for me, I like to be in each part of China at different moments. And that is the treasure of this country. Beijing night. Cheers.